He approved my outfit only if he was there to guard me, then blew up when I went anyway. He looked at her on that video call, watched her face light up getting ready for a fun night out, and the first thing out of his mouth was that her boobs were hanging out. Not hello, not you look nice, not have fun tonight. Just immediate disapproval, delivered with a face like she had done something wrong. And then it got worse from there. Because this was not just a passing comment. This turned into a full-blown argument, a cancelled evening, a blow-up so severe she had to block him. Over an outfit. Over straps that were 1.5 fingers wide. Let that sink in for a second. Think about all the things that deserve that level of conflict in a relationship and then think about where an outfit with thin straps ranks on that list. It does not. It should not. And the fact that it got there anyway is the whole story. So our poster is a 32-year-old woman who has been doing long distance with her boyfriend of 33. They were on a video call while she was getting ready to go out for a coworker's birthday at a small beach bar about 15 minutes from her hometown. Casual evening, casual plans, nothing wild. She had probably spent time picking out something that felt right for the occasion, something that struck that balance between cute and relaxed that you aim for when it is a coworker you like but not your best friend. The kind of outfit you feel good in, the kind that makes you walk a little lighter. She stands up to show him, the way couples do when they want to share a moment even from a distance, the small intimacy of saying, "Look at me, I wanted you to see this." A bodysuit with thin straps, a little cleavage, and some ripped jean shorts that she herself describes as nowhere near booty shorts. His face drops immediately. She can tell something is wrong before he even opens his mouth. That shift in expression, the slight tightening around the eyes, the way the warmth just drains out of a face in real time over a pixelated screen, it is its own kind of gut punch. You know what is coming and you brace for it anyway, hoping you are reading it wrong. And when she asks if he likes it, he comes out with it directly. No, he says, your boobs are hanging out and the straps are way too thin. Now, she tries to be reasonable here. She does not get defensive right away. She asks him what the real problem is, because she felt comfortable in the outfit and did not think it was overly revealing. She also makes a point that is completely valid and often overlooked in these conversations. She has large breasts. There is no shirt cut on this planet that is going to hide that. The cleavage was not a choice she made to attract attention. It is just her body existing in clothing. She has probably had this conversation before, maybe not with him, but with the world in general, the exhausting reality of having a body that gets commented on regardless of what you put over it. She was not asking for his permission. She was trying to help him understand. She tries to meet him in the middle. She reassures him that she can handle herself out there, that he does not need to worry about her getting hit on. She is a grown adult woman telling her boyfriend that she is capable of navigating a social situation at a small-town beach bar without needing a chaperone. There is something quietly painful about that moment, about having to sit there and calmly explain your own competence to someone who is supposed to be in your corner. She was not defensive. She was patient. She offered him an exit ramp. That should have been the end of it. A reasonable partner would have taken that reassurance and said, "Okay, have fun, text me when you are home." But that is not what happened here. Instead, he said something that I genuinely need you to hear out loud. He told her it would be fine to wear that outfit if he was there with her to stop any guys from hitting on her. He said that. He literally framed himself as a physical barrier between her body and the world around her. Not her personality, not her agency, not her ability to say no to unwanted attention. Him. Standing next to her. Like a bouncer she is in a relationship with. Sit with how that must have landed for her. She had just finished explaining, calmly and clearly, that she was capable of handling herself. And his response was to tell her that her capability did not actually matter, because the real variable in the equation was whether he was physically present to oversee the situation. He was not expressing love. He was expressing ownership. That sentence tells you everything you need to know about how this man sees her. But okay. She still has somewhere to be. Her coworker is already at the bar waiting. She does not have time to unpack all of this in the moment, so she says her goodbyes and she goes. And honestly, good for her. She is not going to stand there in her own home getting lectured about her neckline while her friend is waiting outside. There is something brave in that too, because leaving in that moment meant making a choice under pressure, knowing full well that he was unhappy and that she would have to come back to it later. She chose herself anyway. She made a completely reasonable call. Now here is where the pettiness really kicks in. Before all of this happened, they had plans for the evening. He was going to drink a couple beers and game with her over Discord when she got back home. Sweet, low-key plans. The kind of plans that are less about the activity and more about just existing in the same space together across the distance. She was only out for 1.5 hours. When she is on her way home, she texts him. He texts back right away. So he is awake, he is active, he has his phone in his hand. She does not respond immediately because she is driving, which is the correct and legal thing to do. She gets home. She calls him. No answer. Okay, maybe he fell asleep? There is a particular kind of quiet that settles over you in that moment, when you come through the door expecting warmth and find nothing waiting. You set your keys down. You check your phone. You tell yourself he probably just dozed off, because the alternative, that he is awake and choosing silence, is not something you want to believe yet. So you give him the benefit of the doubt. You wait. You maybe scroll your phone for a while, half watching something, checking the screen every few minutes. You are not panicking. You are just waiting for the thing that feels like it should already be there. Except an hour later he finally messages her to say that his buddy called while she was driving home, so he just went and hung out with him to smoke weed. And he said nothing. For almost a full hour, she is sitting at home waiting, thinking he might have fallen asleep, giving him the benefit of the doubt, while he is fully awake, fully aware, and just deciding not to tell her he cancelled their plans. Oh, he knew exactly what he was doing. She does the mature thing and tells him she would have appreciated a heads up. Not an accusation, not a blow-up, just a reasonable expression of how she felt. She was not dramatic about it. She did not come in swinging. She named a feeling, the way adults in healthy relationships are supposed to be able to do, the way people do when they trust that the other person will hear them. And that, apparently, was all it took to detonate him completely. He went absolutely livid. He blew up on her so badly that she had to block him. Let me say that again. He got so angry over her wearing an outfit he did not choose, and then over her calmly asking for basic communication, that she had to block him to end the conversation. She was not the one who escalated. She was the one who had to hit a button to make the noise stop. Think about the timeline here for a moment, because the sequence matters. He expresses disapproval of her outfit. She reassures him. He doubles down. She goes out anyway because she is an adult with autonomy and a life outside of this relationship. He punishes her by canceling their plans without a word and disappearing for an hour. She comes home and asks for a heads up next time. He explodes. Every single step of this is a deliberate escalation. There was no miscommunication. There was no innocent mistake. This is a man who decided she needed to be punished for not obeying him, and when she did not show sufficient remorse, he lost it entirely. And I want to sit with that word for a second. Punished. Because that is exactly what the silent treatment was. It was not that he forgot to text her. He texted her back immediately when she was in the car, so his phone was right there. He simply chose not to tell her he was leaving. He chose to let her come home and wait. He engineered a situation where she would feel the consequence of defying him. She would walk through that door, and the absence of him would do the work he wanted done. It would make her feel the shape of his disapproval without him having to say a single word. And when she named that behavior calmly and directly, he did not feel shame. He felt rage. Because shame requires some level of self-awareness, some flicker of recognition that you did something wrong. Rage is what happens when someone who expected control realizes they do not have it. This is the kind of dynamic that is very easy to miss when you are inside it. Because none of these individual moments look catastrophic on their own. He did not scream at her about the outfit in public. He did not go through her phone. He did not show up at the bar. Each individual action has a surface-level explanation that sounds almost reasonable. He was just worried. He was just tired. He just went to his friends. But when you lay them all out in sequence, the pattern is unmistakable. Control dressed up as concern, punishment dressed up as plans changing, rage dressed up as a boyfriend who just cares too much. The architecture of it is recognizable once you step back far enough to see the whole thing at once. Was she wrong? Not even slightly. Should she have changed her outfit? Absolutely not. She described it perfectly herself. It was comfortable, it was appropriate for a beach bar in summer, and the only reason it became a problem is that he decided his visual approval of her body is a prerequisite for her leaving the house. And when she made clear that his approval was not, in fact, required, he reacted the way controlling people always do when they realize the control is not working. He got louder. He got meaner. He made sure she felt it. I want to say something directly to anyone listening who has been in a situation like this. The moment someone frames their jealousy as concern for your safety, the moment someone says something would be fine if I was there with you, that is not love. That is possession. Love trusts you to walk into a room by yourself. Love does not need to stand next to you to feel secure. Love does not blow up because you wore a bodysuit to a coworker's birthday party. She asked if she was wrong, and I am going to answer her clearly. She was not wrong about the outfit. She was not wrong to go out. She was not wrong to ask for basic communication. The only thing I wish she had done differently is not waited up for an hour wondering where he was. Because that hour? He earned 0 minutes of it. Block was the right move. Keep it that way. My husband refused to give me cards from our shared collection but expected mine, no questions asked. She is going through his old binders, carefully sleeving cards to help him prepare for a trade show, doing the kind of quiet, generous work that partners do for each other, and she spots some cards that would be new additions to her collection. She asks. He goes cold and defensive immediately. Those are his, he says. He will do what he wants with them. And just like that, years of a generosity that only ever went one direction snapped into focus all at once. Because this is not just about Pokemon cards. I want to be clear about that from the very beginning. This is about what you reveal when the stakes go up even slightly, and whether the way you treat someone in the small moments matches the version of yourself you have been presenting. So here is the setup. Our poster and her husband are both in their 30s, and Pokemon is genuinely meaningful to both of them. It is not a hobby one of them tolerates for the other's sake. It is actually how they met. Think about what that means for a second. This was not a polite interest adopted to impress someone early in a relationship and then slowly abandoned once things got comfortable. This is a shared love, a piece of their actual foundation as a couple, something that was present at the very beginning before they even knew what they were building together. Which makes everything that follows sting in a very particular way, because when someone uses the thing you bonded over as a weapon, even a small and quiet weapon, it cuts differently than it would otherwise. Their collecting styles are a little different, and that is completely fine. He keeps a tight collection of 3 to 5 favorites and trades the rest, which is a pretty common approach for someone who wants to stay engaged with the hobby without drowning in binders. She is more of a completionist, filling 3 binders with favorites and card variants, including commons that most people would dismiss as worthless filler. She sees value in the full picture, in the smaller cards that tell a more complete story about a set. Different styles, same passion. No conflict there. The conflict lives somewhere else entirely. Here is the system they have had in place. When she opens new packs, She keeps what is new for herself first. Then she lets him go through everything and take whatever he wants. Anything valuable that neither of them wants goes into a shared trade binder. She is describing this system in detail because she wants to be precise about something. She has never once held back cards from him under this arrangement. Not once. She let him take from her pulls freely and without hesitation, and anything that could benefit them both went into shared territory without argument or negotiation. It was an easy, comfortable, generous system, and it worked because she made it work. He, up until this point, typically did the same. Past tense. Typically. Because this time, when they found his old binders full of expensive cards and he started preparing for the trade show, something shifted in him. The warmth she was used to gave way to something tighter and more guarded. He got snappy. He said these are all his cards to trade or sell. Not our cards. His cards. I am sorry, what? She is sleeving his cards for him. She is sitting there in what was probably a comfortable, familiar domestic scene, carefully protecting each card with the kind of patient attention that says I care about this because you care about this. And when she sees a couple of cards she would like for her own collection and asks about them in what I imagine was a completely casual and unsuspecting way, he treats her like a stranger trying to take something that was never hers. He does not pause to consider what she has handed him freely over the years. He does not soften. He does not say let me think about it or we can work something out. He does not even acknowledge the system they built together or the spirit in which it was built. He just pulls rank on the collection and shuts the door, and she is left sitting there holding his cards in her hands, doing him a favor, feeling like she just got reprimanded for asking. Now let me talk about what makes this especially sharp. She mentions that the cards she wanted to keep are not even the expensive ones. Most of them are around $70. He is trading cards worth hundreds at this same event, cards that represent serious collector value, and he is planning to hand those over to strangers at a table in exchange for other cards or cash. She is not asking for the crown jewels. She is asking for a handful of cards that would be new to her collection and that he was planning to trade away to people he has never met. To strangers. Apparently strangers at a trade show have more claim to those cards than the woman who has been freely giving him cards from her own collection for years, including cards she had before she ever met him. That last part is worth sitting with. She gave him cards that predated their relationship. Cards she walked into the marriage with, that were hers before he was ever in the picture, before there was a we to speak of. She gave those to him with no questions asked, no negotiation, no quiet internal ledger keeping track of who owed what to whom. She describes herself as someone who falls under the partner happy over money category. She does not need to win the value exchange. She is not calculating her return on investment in the relationship. She just wants to share something she loves with someone she loves, and she assumed, reasonably, that he felt the same way. What she got back when the situation was reversed was defensiveness, dismissiveness, and a snap judgment that his old binders are exclusively his domain now that there is money involved. And there it is. Because I think that is the thing she has not quite said out loud yet, but the story makes very clear. His behavior changed when the financial stakes went up. When cards were just cards being passed between two people who love Pokemon, he was fine with the system. The moment those binders represented real money at a trade event, suddenly the system does not apply to him anymore. The rules shifted, and she was not told. That shift matters. A lot. Because it means the generosity was conditional all along. He was generous when generosity cost him nothing, when the cards in question were low stakes and the mood was relaxed and there was no trade show on the horizon turning everything into an asset to be managed. The moment it cost him something, even something small relative to what he was already gaining from years of her open-handed approach to their shared hobby, the mask slipped and he got snappy about ownership. Would she be wrong to confront him? No. She would absolutely not be wrong. She would be doing the relationship a favor, honestly, because this is not a conversation that gets better if you let it sit quietly and hope it dissolves on its own. She has a completely legitimate grievance. She has years of evidence that she operated in good faith. She has a partner who just responded to that good faith by gatekeeping a handful of mid-range cards while preparing to hand over hundreds of dollars worth of collections to strangers at a table. If she does not name that, it does not go away. It just becomes the new unspoken rule of how things work, the one she never agreed to. Now I want to acknowledge the update here, because I think it matters. She told him it hurt her feelings. She was direct and honest about the impact of what he did, which takes more courage than it sounds like when the wound is still fresh and the situation still feels a little disorienting. He listened. He saved the cards she wanted. They went to the event together and traded for things they both wanted, which is honestly exactly what this hobby is supposed to feel like when you share it with someone. That is a genuinely good resolution. The communication worked. And that is real and worth celebrating, and she should feel good about the fact that she spoke up rather than swallowing it. But I also want to gently point out what she noticed herself. She did not get to the bottom of why he said things the way he said them. And that question is not a small one. The what got resolved. The why is still sitting there unanswered. Because the behavior came from somewhere. The defensiveness, the snapping, the sudden possessiveness, those are not random. People do not just glitch out of a system that was working fine unless something underneath shifted. Whether it was stress about money, a quiet resentment that had been building without being named, or something about the trade show that made him feel like the collection was suddenly his to control and protect, that is a conversation that still needs to happen. Not to assign blame, but to understand each other. She did the right thing. She spoke up, she was honest about her feelings, and she got a good result. But I hope when the time is right, she goes back to that unanswered question. Not to punish him or reopen a wound, but because partnerships built on shared passions deserve to understand each other when those passions create friction. The cards are fine. The feelings behind that snap deserve a little more attention. Let me know in the comments which story hit harder for you, because both of these had me talking to my screen. And if you are new here, a like and subscribe genuinely helps more than you know.